Hello Earthlings, as you know, our channel is all about how we can create a social change, a change on the earth to help us move to a new earth, a new consciousness. And this video is very special because we have here our friend Alex, who's been challenging my views in the world a lot in the last year.
I try not to challenge you too much.
He does. He does. And he's a very unique human, have very unusual way of thinking and seeing life that's based on the philosophy of Ananda Marga, the proud theory, the philosophy of Aikido, the philosophy of art and culture, and he mixed all of those dimensions, all those philosophy in a very unique blend that make him see a hopeful vision for the future. What I noticed recently that there is a lot of conspiracy theory that leading people to think that everything that's happening in the world is led by those group of evil people who have no mercy in their heart, who just want to destroy, just want to dominate, they just want to do all this crazy depopulating the planet and all these things.
So it's really important to separate the idea of what is true from what is useful. Yeah, so it may be true that somebody is doing some terrible things. But is it a useful thing to think about? And that is a really big difference. So one of the examples that I like to give is, you imagine that there's a man who's beating his wife. Okay, whose fault is it?
Since we are two men, we say the wife.
The wife.
Mia is laughing behind the camera.
There was a day when that was the normal answer. But these days, when we would normally say that it's the man's fault,
No.
He should not be beating his wife. He should not be being aggressive. He should stop being aggressive. Yeah. But the point is this actually useful? Like we say, it's his fault, and he's the one he should be better. But if you have somebody who is habitually aggressive and you tell them to stop being aggressive, it doesn't work very well. So the fact that it's his fault doesn't actually solve the problem. So what does it take to solve the problem? It takes to look at the forces behind it, to stop saying his fault or her fault or anybody's fault, but to say, and who's creating it? No. What is behind it? Why is it there? And therefore, how could it be solved? And we get a different answer if you say that. And a much more deep and a little bit complicated answer. So we don't just say it's his fault, we would say why? Because he's got unresolved traumas from his past, from she thinks she deserves it, from they just simply have never been taught how to have a good relationship. He's got a job that he hates. Okay, a series of things. But each one of these things is something that can be solved now. We can say, okay, he's got unresolved traumas, so he could heal those traumas. She's got some perception of being undeserved. That's also something that she could learn to come to a better appreciation of herself. That he's got a bad job, it's potential that he could find a better job, etc. So looking in this way is not necessarily more true, but it's much more useful.
So this is what I see, the kind of like solution-oriented thinking versus, we need to find the bad one, the bad guys.
Exactly. When you find the bad guys, you end up being in a superhero movie. And the story of a superhero movie is the good guys always win.
And punish the bad one.
But the bad guys always survive to do it again. And the problem is never solved. If they've solved the problem, then there's no sequel, and it doesn't make
There's no movies
anymore. So what we want is to get in a different kind of story, a story where the problems are actually resolved.
Cool. And if you notice, this already applied to the war that we see in the Middle East. Many people look, who is the bad guy? So the way we try to see the things is more like in depth than just like finding somebody to blame, which lead to a really dangerous conspiracy theory. And we saw in the last century what led to the Holocaust, for example.
So the other aspect that you can look at in terms of these conspiracies, there's the possible powerful people who are doing things, is that whether or not they exist doesn't make much difference to our lives and what we can do. So there may be a group of powerful people doing really terrible things, or there may not be. I'm not in touch with that group of powerful people and I'm not able to do anything about them, but I am able to do something directly about the things that are going on in the world around me. And so I'm not arguing with the truth here, I'm arguing with what's a useful way to look at this.
Yeah, and you can see when you're saying this, I could feel there's something triggered in me. And I'm thinking that many of you guys who believe a conspiracy, they will be completely dismissing what he's saying. But my invitation is to challenge, like, yeah, if it's true that there's a group of people who is controlling, we actually don't have much power to reach those people and convince them to change or put them in jail or defund or freeze the bank account. What we can do as individual, as like people who want to make a positive change in society, is to follow what practical step that we can do. And this is what he's talking about here.
And then if we look at the forces behind it, why is this going on? Not who is doing it, but why? What is the force behind it?
What kind of energy is driving this?
Yeah, and the most obvious one is money.
Yeah.
You can see a lot of power and control being that everybody has to make money, and either you're rich in terms of money or you're poor in terms of money. Either way, money is the focus, money wins. And what are the other forces that we can obviously see?
My perspective is there's the religious belief system, that can be spiritual, that could be religion, that could be any real philosophy that people take it as a higher moral standards.
Even atheism is a...
exactly. Yeah, so any belief system. And then we get...
military, like fighting.
Yeah, like...
You kill people if they don't do what you say.
Yeah, and that doesn't have to be just military, it could be militant thinking. Something like what we have in the Middle East, like group just getting financed by big power and then getting armed and then fighting other minorities or persecuting other people who don't share the same interest.
Yeah, and the fourth one I think is something to do with community and connection and the people you know. So
can you share more, because this feels like more of what we do here in our channel and our community?
Yeah, so I think this is the really important one, because this is the one that can undermine the financial money power. Money,
and why?
Yeah, money has some control over the weapons, and it has some control over the ideologies in terms of what it supports. It has very little control over the community connection, and in fact the community connection can create wealth more than the wealth can control the community connection. And it can also, community connection can make you not need money. If you have enough of a good network and you are able to stay in a beautiful, supportive community, then what do you need money for? Yeah. Somebody will support you with everything you need, you will support them in other ways. And so the ability to connect and to be known to a lot of people and to have a lot of support from a lot of different people, to be influential with people and to be influenced by people, to be that interconnectedness. This takes us out of under the thumb of money to we have something bigger, something better. And so I think this is actually the key action that we can do, is to make sure that we are getting engaged in community activities as much as possible. To take it a step further, if we're really to fight against the money system and the power of money, then those communities need to actually start controlling money. Start controlling
money, okay.
So rather than just running away from the money, they actually have to, as a community, start to be able to have influence over money. And this means having community-owned businesses. A community-owned business doesn't make anyone rich, doesn't make any individual rich, but it makes for a very wealthy, happy community. A good standard of lifestyle for everybody and doing really wonderful things for the people and the planet. And also, when you have a good standard of lifestyle in a community, people are naturally good, generous, and environmental. Like, when the stress is off them, a lot of the things that we're looking for.
The creative thinking come out.
Yeah. And so I think that whoever is doing this, the solution is for us to bring out more of this power of community and to make the power of community stronger than the power of money.
So one of the things that actually challenge community is how to finance ourselves as individuals, because this is something we actually face, like people wanting to come and live with us and they can't, because in this rural area they can't generate the income that's necessary for them to survive. So they end up going back to the city and taking a normal job.
Yeah.
So how would you solve that?
Well, I think we need to get good at business.
Uh-huh.
But we need to get good at business that is a little bit different to the traditional way that business is done.
Mm-hmm.
Business has been done in a way that is very competitive, and it is me against you.
Mm-hmm.
But business can be done in a way that is us together, everybody gains.
Mm-hmm.
And a community ideally should have a good flourishing business for itself.
Yeah.
In fact, you can create a business, a community that is a business, that doesn't even have a place that you live. It's just the business itself is a community.
Mm-hmm.
People don't live together, but they work together all day long. There's a very strong sense of a community. And this is called a cooperative.
Mm-hmm.
There's a particular way that business is run that's called a cooperative. And cooperatives are known to be the most stable, successful business form ever, by far. But there's very few of them started. If the community started to really get interested in business,
Mm-hmm.
then we would have a flourishing cooperative business sector.
Mm-hmm.
And then the cooperative businesses would do exactly this thing of taking the power of money and into the control of the community rather than into the control of individual hands. And this is a big challenge. This is something we need to learn to do.
This is also fascinating for me and very interesting because a lot of the alternative people, like you said, they like to run away from the money system altogether and think that's the solution, like we need to eradicate money. But it's like you are inviting a different paradigm, different perspective on this.
I think that running away from the money is actually impossible. I think it's an impossible ideal.
Mm-hmm.
What happens if there is no money in the world? I say to you, look, I want to buy your bananas and you want my apples.
Yeah.
But I don't have them here today.
Yeah.
Can I write you a note that says I owe you so many worth of bananas?
Mm-hmm.
And you've got this little note.
Yeah.
And then I come back and I say I didn't have the apples. Keep the note and I'll give you something else later on.
Mm-hmm.
We just created money.
Yeah.
Money is going to be, it's in a different form.
I
In
think
some form there's going to be some kind of medium of exchange.
Yeah, I think the idea of money is actually an amazing idea. Where it gets problematic is the debt system.
Yeah.
The debt system where it just create, like there's an entity who create money out of thin air, and then people who had some amount of money, they have even less because somebody else is creating, so inflating the money supply, where the goods and service they have is worth less now because somebody invented money out of nowhere.
So this is the monetary system itself. This is another whole discussion.
Yeah.
And there's a whole lot of ideas about how the monetary system could be improved. I don't get very much into that most of the time because, again, it's outside of our control a little bit.
Okay.
And what is inside our control is what we can do within the current system that would then create a new system. So once you have a lot of community-owned businesses, we start to lose the power of the rich. And it's no longer the companies that are owned by individual rich shareholders who are able to control the world. It becomes the communities who are able to control the world. It transforms the whole system.
Yeah.
And at that point, we would have the ability to create a new money system because we would have the influence to do it. But yeah, I do think we have to accept that on some form or other money will exist and does exist. Now, wanting not to be involved in it is fair enough. On an individual level, it's actually possible to have nothing to do with money. If you join a community that can manage the
provide your needs. Yeah.
But the community body will need to have something to do with money.
Because they need the exchange with the external world.
Yeah, exactly. And even if you're living on a piece of land that is like self-sufficient, just to maintain a piece of land requires paying taxes these days.
Yeah.
There is some kind of exchange of money going to go on. But individuals could be free of money, but the community needs to engage in this. And I think this is where our freedom lies. The freedom from the current system to create something better lies in activating the communities to engage in this wealth creation.
So let's explore this a bit deeper and see if we can challenge our own believes using the work of Byron Katie.
So one of the conspiracy theory that I used to believe in it, and I started questioning, is the moon landing.
Is there a sense of why the story of the moon landing was created then?
I remember it was something like they want to show that the Americans are so powerful and so big. They went to the moon and they put the flag there, and there's like this victory feeling.
So it was to aggrandize themselves. Okay.
And the challenge is like, since then, why nobody went to the moon again?
Yeah.
It's also very suspicious.
Okay. So what we're going to do is have a look at this in terms of the work of Byron Katie, which is a really interesting work that's normally done internally on your own issues, but can be done looking out externally at the world, because it's all about truth, seeing the world, seeing truth really, really accurate. So the first question is it true? Is it true that the moon landing never happened?
We don't really know.
We don't really know. Okay. Can we be absolutely sure that it's true?
We also can't
really be sure. Okay. So what does it do to us to believe that the moon landing never happened?
It would make us distrust NASA and all the official media and all the TV channels and all the governments and all the governmental body that repeat the story to us. It will make us feel that.
So it makes us distrust, feel that they're lying, but maybe check our media more carefully for what's the real story.
Yeah.
So there's both a bit of distrust and a kind of looking more deeply, which is good and bad in some ways. Yeah. Okay, so where would we be without this belief? Where would we be if we didn't believe that the moon landing never happened? If we just trusted that the moon landing happened, where would we be?
Nothing really would change in my life.
That's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. If I would believe that this has happened, I would definitely trust them more. But also on the other side, if I would trust them more, they could have programmed me with other things that can be harmful for my body, like the thing or...
And I think there's plenty of other reasons not to trust the media channels.
Yeah.
So we probably wouldn't actually still trust the media channels even if we did believe this, no?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So it doesn't make that much difference. Okay, then the last question is how can we turn the belief around and think of a kind of an opposite belief and play with it, see if there could be some truth in it. So the moon landing never happened. What if we said that the moon landing did happen? Okay, we've already been playing with that. What if we say the moon landing actually happened lots of times? They'd actually been up there like hundreds of times. How would that change things?
I would be like, shit, why they didn't invite me?
It's a possibility. It's as much a possibility as that they never went, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's an interesting way to look at it. What else could you say? Well, the moon doesn't even exist.
That's too far.
It's just a
But actually, the flat Earth theory, they actually believe that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I think they believe the moon exists, but that it's artificial.
Yeah.
Something like this.
It's not a moon. It's just an artificial reflection of light or source of light that's moved on a
on the string.
Yeah.
So we laugh because we don't take it seriously.
Yeah.
Where it was like, yes, it could be, it could not be, and this is a lot of what Byron Katie's work helps us to do, is to not take this too seriously. There's so many possibilities here, and what do I know about truth, really?
Yeah, and this is what we do also in our work, in shadow work. We look at the deeper emotional charge. Why I'm so charged if somebody would challenge my point of view or challenge my belief system. What's the emotional hurt or the trauma behind that?
And so this is kind of looking at the external world in that same way and trying to find a bit more lightness in it. Maybe these conspiracies are true and maybe they're not, and maybe if we can just kind of keep the minds open, we can be a little bit more flexible in our approach and find some better solutions.
But here's like a really an easy example, like if we landed on the moon or not, like it doesn't really impact any like normal human. But other conspiracy theory, like the Jewish controlling the world and they're behind all the evil thing in the world, then things get really problematic, and it did in the past century, and it resulted in the death of over 6 million people.
And these questions would be really good to ask about that as well. You know, is it really true? Can you be sure that it's true? And what does it do to you to believe this? And what other things could you believe? And it helps to open up the possibilities of perhaps, we have one explanation of the world, perhaps we can find another explanation, perhaps we can find one that actually explains things better and gives us more power to make a difference.
So to sum it up, the way Alex see the world is, instead of believing those set conspiracy that this is the explanation of bad things that's happening to the earth, instead of just believing that, his idea is to start challenging ourselves what could be alternative truth to that, without really assuming that this explanation is actually what's behind the phenomena that we see.
Well, actually, I don't necessarily want to say that it's not true and to change your opinion on it.
Yeah.
I just want to say it's not important. It's like there's a focus on who did it. And if you focus on who did it, then you get angry. And you feel weak and you feel disempowered. You focus on what is causing the problem. Suddenly, it's like all of these amazing things that can be done, and we can change the world ourselves, and we can make this amazing world. It's so exciting. It makes a really exciting world. And so this is why I say there's only one conspiracy that you need to worry about.
Which is?
That's this one. The one that you and your friends and how you're going to change the world. Because the conspiracy means breathing together, conspire. Is to breathe together. And so a small group of people who breathe together, who meditate together, who vision together, and who dream of a better world. This is the conspiracy that you need to join.
Come join us.